I was thinking, yeah, I'll quickly mention
Yeah,
before we start. You know, intro.
yeah, yeah.
We need a song.
Oh, you know what? I was actually speaking to George last week, and he mentioned like having a little bit of a jingle at the
Yeah, at the start, yeah, like,
beginning.
but yeah, but yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have to just get. Yeah, we do need
we'll
to look
sort we'll sort
into
something
that.
out now.
Let's sort some
Yeah, yeah.
out. Yeah.
We'll
Anyway,
sort something out.
I think let's get into it.
Yeah,
Welcome
let's get
to
into it.
episode 6
Seven,
of
seven,
Route Up. 6, 7. Is it 7?
seven. Yeah. yeah,
Wait, really?
yeah. No, is it seven?
It's 6. I swear it is.
I don't know. You've got me confused now.
Right now, I'm having a look. I'm having a look.
I need to change that thumbnail then. I made a thumbnail for this and I'll put episode 7 on it.
Oh man, this is our plan. This is our structured show as well. We planned this out,
I
and
know.
yeah,
I
it's
screwed it up.
episode 6. It's episode 6.
It's alright. I've put it's alright. I've put 7 on the thumbnail and 4 in my
Oh
book.
man, that's
I've
funny.
put 4 in my book.
Well,
And 4 in here. Episode 6.
maybe it is episode 7 in some weird parallel universe. We made one in a week.
Oh god.
But yeah, this week we've got a new segment. We're going to start. We've got a few new segments today. We're obviously going to be covering Stranger Things as our main
Yeah,
topic.
we've managed to come up with a sort of structure, so hopefully it's not as messy
Yeah.
as it
Um,
has been.
and our first little segment is news this week. News relating to film, TV shows, and anything interesting in the entertainment industry. So, I mean, I've got a few pieces here that I want to talk about that I think is really cool. The first one, View Cinemas, they've outlined a physical distancing plan to help reopen cinemas and cinema chains. From July the 4th, I believe the government gave approval for cinemas to reopen, and I read in an interview by The Guardian that the founder of View Cinemas, Tim Richards, um, he's planning to get the cinema up and running for the 17th of July, which is the release of Christopher Nolan's Tenet,
Yeah,
which is really
yeah,
cool. It's one of those films that I don't want to see on. I mean, on demand. I think it's got its benefits definitely for you can still support like filmmakers who were releasing stuff, and even some of the studios who are struggling to release films. VOD and on demand streaming is really helping them and benefiting them, but it's not at all helping cinemas. And I think
no,
it'd be
no,
great to get back into the cinema personally. And Tenet is a film that
yeah.
you want to see on a big
And
screen.
any Christopher Nolan's film needs to be watched on a big screen. And to be honest, I prefer watching all of my films on a big screen. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
obviously on demand is great for when you're in your house and stuff, ease of access. But
yeah.
there's nothing quite like watching a film in the cinema.
No,
Um, I've got a couple of bits. New Mutants has got yet another theatrical release date.
yeah,
August 2020, at some point around there. Obviously, it's been delayed several times um,
yeah.
over the
I,
past year.
I mean, it
Most
was one of those
recently,
things where I was saying that something like Mutants maybe Disney could have just dropped on Disney Plus as
yeah, yeah,
obviously
but
they weren't going to drop something like a film, like a larger budget film. They weren't. I don't think there's a lot of risk there of just dropping it on Disney Plus.
yeah. I mean, Disney Plus also have their huge policy about R-rated content,
Yeah,
so obviously that probably wouldn't have worked. But maybe releasing it for digital release on things like Amazon Prime and stuff, so you can buy it, rent it. You know,
yeah.
um,
I
maybe
think
would have
I
worked.
think it brings up like the topic of like videos on demand as well. Like we saw
Yeah,
the recent Trolls film come out on demand, and it's
yeah,
quite a massive step for because it's never been done like straight up. Like I mean, you've obviously got the Netflix originals, which when they first started dropping, people were like, "Oh, what's all this?" Then like a lot of people were,
yeah,
there was a lot of for and against A lot of people are completely against it, and cinema is the way it should be released. Each film should have a wide theatrical release.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
but
sorry, Karen.
but I think it's also it does help a lot of ways. It's because obviously they were charging higher prices to rent certain like Trolls. I think you could stream it when it first came out at a higher price. It is
Yeah,
beneficial for like families and who going to the cinema is it's £100 if you go with 3 kids and you have popcorn and the whole package at the cinema. It's £100 a time. So I
yeah,
think videos on demand and some like releases going straight onto that is going to benefit. I think everyone because cinemas will have to maybe find a way to lower prices and make it again more accessible.
yeah. I mean, I think that is one of the it's the biggest selling point with on-demand video, Netflix, Amazon Prime. All of that stuff. It's accessible to everyone, to
Yeah,
anyone. In this day and age, anybody could sign up for a Netflix account, whether you pay for it or you get a trial or whatever.
yeah.
Everybody can, and that's why I think we're definitely going to see a big influx with that. Because that is the way that it's probably going to end up going. You'll see a steady decline, especially after the pandemic. You'll see a steady decline with people going to cinemas, and it's a shame.
It's a shame, but I mean, I have got a little bit of hope with the whole idea that cinemas will have to lower prices because I mean, there was a whole thing in the '80s where in the US you'd pay $5 for any film, and
Yeah,
it's gone up it's gone up drastically in recent over the last like 30, 40 years, and
yeah. I mean, I
hopefully
think
it can come down again.
in
That's what I'm
the
hoping.
the nearest cinema to me, it's a showcase cinema.
Yeah,
And obviously they went all out, and a lot of cinemas have done this, but I know Showcase were quite big in the UK for doing this, where
yeah,
they refurbed all of their cinemas with the reclining seats and
yeah,
stuff like that, and it's now like nearly 14 pound for a ticket
yeah.
there, and that's like the cheapest cinema that's closest to me. It's in walking distance, so
Yeah. It's, I
you know
mean, I think it's quite. I look at what like I'm like obviously I love going to cinema. The cinema is the place for me where you need it's a requirement. But
yeah,
I don't think the cinemas will ever go away because of that. Because I think everyone who's got a slight interest in film, I mean, going to the cinema is it's something that everyone loves doing. It's like it's like a drug in some ways. The best way I can
yeah, it
describe
really
it.
is.
You've got to
I
go.
mean,
Carry on.
yeah. Yeah, I was just about to say, as well as one of my favorite points about cinema is if you get if you get lucky and you're lucky to be in a screen where there's no arseholes
Oh yeah,
disrupting you the entire time,
yeah,
it's crucial for you to sit there and you can really enjoy the film and really concentrate on
yeah,
the film and really focus. Whereas with at home, a lot of the time it depends what I'm watching, to be honest. But if I'm watching watching a film, you might look down at your phone and you start scrolling and stuff like that.
yeah,
And what I do like about a cinema is it is that place to relax and focus and
yeah.
really enjoy what you are watching.
I think, I mean, there's so many negatives can be brought up along this pandemic with cinemas and obviously streaming to VOD is a threat, but I'm hoping that, as I said, like cinemas can do something to make it even more competitive with these things. Because the cinemas now need to find a reason why people need to now leave their homes and go to a cinema. There's got to be that reason.
Yeah, there's I mean, obviously what they'll probably end up doing is they'll open so many screens with only so many seats available, and you can
Yeah,
only sit with certain people, which is fine because a lot of people just want to get back into the cinemas.
yeah.
And
And I like what they're doing with you. I mean, I think it'd be great for it to. I mean, it'd be just nice to. I really want to see Tenet in the cinema.
yeah, it's not a film that I'd like to sit and watch at home. It is one of those films that it's gonna be big, it's gonna be visually beautiful. It's one of those
Yeah.
films that you do want to see on the big screen.
I mean, first time seeing it especially as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But another film release that did come out on VOD and video on demand in the US, and is coming out later in the UK, is Capone, directed by Josh Trank, who
Yeah. Tom Hardy.
yeah, Tom Hardy. For me, it's an interesting story. It's Al Capone, age 47. He's come out of prison at this point. He's suffering from Alzheimer's or
Yeah,
dementia,
I think it was Alzheimer's.
and
It was one of those two.
yeah, and it'll be. I mean, it hasn't received great reviews, but it's an interesting look at a man who's come out of prison, who's no longer, he's not on, he's in decline. It's his last year of his life, and it'd be interesting. It's an interesting story. Josh Trank,
Yeah.
obviously, he directed the Fantastic Four film, which I don't like at all. But he also did a film called Chronicle a few years before that. It's a sci-fi film.
I've actually not seen that yet.
It's great. I am intrigued by it, but what I've heard is not great things. But I think I will definitely check it out just out of curiosity. And I love Tom Hardy as well.
Yeah. Tom Hardy's brilliant.
Have you got any more news this week?
Not much. No. One thing that I do keep seeing. There's two things actually. Matrix 4 has been confirmed to resume production in July.
That's interesting.
I'm kind of intrigued to see where they go with
definitely
Matrix 4. To be honest, there's been some new Avatar 2 set photos released with Kate Winslet appearing in several of them.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting. And also Robert Pattinson has said that he's refusing to work out for the Batman. And he said that he doesn't want to be too bulky, so he's refusing to do his weight training. I thought that was interesting. I'm seeing it everywhere at the moment. Like, I don't know why, but that piece of news is really catching people's attention.
I mean, the thing is, I don't think he's ever going to. No one is ever going to challenge Christian Bale when he got all shredded for The Dark Knight Rises, and then like the year after American Hustle comes out, and he's just like packed dude. Like I don't think no one's. So he's like yeah.
he just doesn't care. And I mean, to be honest, I think it'll be kind of interesting to see Robert Pattinson as Batman. I'm kind of excited, to be honest.
He's having a really good last few years. I mean, he's got Tenet. He's really
good time.
He's having a really good time. I always call it the Matthew McConaughey ride. It's like he did some stuff before that weren't so great, but then Dallas Buyers Club, and he's in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
But I mean, I am really I do like him. Like I've seen him in interviews, and The Lighthouse is great. And
yeah. I still need to watch The Lighthouse. I haven't seen it yet.
Get around to it, man. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna run it at some point.
I think we should move on to our next news section.
Our next news segment.
It's called Hidden Gems, and we're gonna pick out films that are streaming on Netflix, any of the streaming platforms that we think that just would interest people and are really great things that we've discovered. To tide you over during this. I mean, not even just over quarantine. We're going to use it over every episode. But if you're looking for something to watch on any streaming platform, we're here this week. So, Jack, what's your hidden gem of the week?
So my hidden gem of the week is a 23-minute documentary, and it's called The Trader. This was released in 2018, I believe. It premiered at the Sundance 2018 festival, and it won the award for short filmmaking.
Yeah.
And this film was really interesting. I've seen it a few times now. The first time I watched it, when it was first released, I was kind of confused because it follows this man who buys products. He's in the Republic of Georgia, and he buys products for cheap prices, and then he sells them in rural areas for potatoes, and then he sells the potatoes in order to make a profit.
Yeah.
And it is really, really interesting. The whole film is one giant contrast because visually it looks beautiful, but the imagery is so bleak, and it's it is so interesting. I really enjoyed watching that. And again, it's only like 23 minutes long, so it's not going to take up a huge chunk of your time. And I think it's definitely worth the watch.
See, that's really interesting. As I'll mention again later when we've discussed what we've been watching this week. But I got BFI Player this over the last like few weeks, and I've been
Yeah, yeah,
watching some amazing documentaries on there. And I do like, for me, there's something really, really great about a documentary that isn't like a normal. I mean, my recommendations documentary also, but with documentaries, there's something so beautiful about real life, and the way some directors can capture it is just perfect.
yeah, definitely. I think. See, I like watching documentaries. It's it because whilst I enjoy watching, fictional films,
Yeah,
it really changes the way that I watch a film,
yeah, definitely.
because it is just like it's so similar in the fact that there is beautiful filmmaking there, but
Yeah,
it's so different in the respect that it's real life, and it is so raw and it's so real.
yeah, that's great. My hidden gem this week is another documentary released in 2018. It's called "They'll Love Me When I'm Dead," and it's directed by Morgan Neville, who you may know by a mini series that came out last year called Shangri-La, which covers Rick Rubin and the Shangri-La recording studios. I believe it was nominated for a Grammy as well last year, Best Music Film, it's a great mini series as well. He also did Won't You Be My Neighbor, which came out a
Oh
few
yeah.
years ago. That's great. But this documentary is about the last 15 years of Orson Welles' life, and especially covering a film that was unreleased till 2 years ago, which is also on Netflix, called Other Side of the Wind, which it tells the stories of just the crazy production of it. Because anyone familiar with Orson Welles' career, you'll know after like A Touch of Evil, he was sort of banished from Hollywood. He was sort of blacklisted. He was kind of betrayed. And after A Touch of Evil, up until this film, he was working. He was in Europe. He was making some great films in Europe, but they weren't. He was nowhere even near Hollywood at all. And Other Side of the Wind, during the 70s, obviously the new cinema boom with the likes of Mike Scorsese, William Friedkin. You've got the movie Brat Friends. Orson Welles was idolized by these guys, and uh, the other side of the wind was his return to Hollywood as we know it. He wanted this to be his return to Hollywood filmmaking. But the crazy thing about it is that the film had no script. It was shot. I mean, Peter Bogdanovich, a good friend of Orson Welles and quite a big director in the 70s. Um, he was involved with the film. He was starring in the film. Um, it had loads and loads of. It was shot in a house in Arizona. Um, Again, no script, no. Everyone on the set had no real indication or clear direction of what he was going, and it's just so interesting to see this brilliant filmmaker's mind work because no one knew what he was going for, but everyone listened to him. It's Orson Welles. It also details Orson's life over the last 15 years and the troubles that he suffered. He described it as a curse of making Citizen Kane, because people, whatever work he made, people always compared it to Citizen Kane, and I mean, who's ever going to want that comparison? So
Yeah.
it's not about him struggling with that. It's also narrated by Alan Cumming, which a lot of people may know from the Spy Kids films. Um,
Yeah.
that was the only part that didn't really work for me because it was a fictional narrator. It felt a little bit out of place, but apart from that, it's such a good documentary, and I think it's really important for any cinephile or any person with an interest in filmmaking as well, who's ever worked on a set, because it's crazy some of the stories.
Yeah, we actually we messaged about this the other
Yeah,
day, about how scary it is how scary it must be going into
Production with no
production
script.
with no script. And Gladiator,
Yeah,
it actually came out a while ago. Russell Crowe said this in an interview that they went into Gladiator and the script was nowhere near finished. And obviously that's a film that won Best Picture, and it is an amazing film.
Yeah, it's
So
that scares me though. It's like a film like that terrifies me.
yeah,
Going into a film with no script.
It's like what would you do on a set? How are you planning to keep people in control?
Yeah.
And instruct people on a huge set when you don't know what you're meant to be instructing them on.
Well, I think what made it so interesting is that the whole point is the film is meant to be is a documentary about an aging filmmaker. Although it wasn't meant to be autobiographical of Orson Welles, it was, and he's making his comeback film. Ironically, as Orson Welles is making The Other Side of the Wind, so it's kind of autobiographical. But the whole point of it, a midsection in the film, it's a documentary about a filmmaker, and the filmmaker in the film is making a film, basically. So yeah, it's kind of like filmmaking Inception. But the whole point of it, which is described, the film that the filmmaker makes in the film is very art house. So it gave a chance for Orson Welles to make a film that wasn't an Orson Welles film. It got him to like branch out a little bit, which I think is really cool. And if anyone hasn't seen The Other Side of the Wind, they're both on Netflix. But I recommend watching They'll Love Me When I'm Dead documentary first.
Yeah. Another thing of Orson Welles is really interesting. If you get a chance to learn or read about this, is Orson Welles' War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Obviously, I study media, and this is something that you look into in quite excruciating depth. Is specifically how it was received, and what he intended to do with this specific piece, and the way it was aired on radio stations like an actual report. And it was the idea that if people had tuned in midway, that they would actually believe that aliens were invading the planet. And it's hugely interesting, and it's a really intriguing listen if you actually listen to it. I'm not sure where you can get it. You can probably find it on YouTube.
So I definitely want to check that out.
You can probably.
But I've never.
Yeah. You can probably find it on YouTube, but it's a really interesting listen. Obviously narrated and directed by Orson Welles. It is really, really interesting.
That's great. I mean, shall we move on to the main discussion, which is
we should actually move on to Stranger Things now.
We were talking about Stranger Things. I've rewatched it recently in quarantine, and
I managed to rewatch the entire thing in 3 days.
That's credit to you, man. That's credit.
It was long. It was definitely a bit of an effort. Enjoyed it though. Obviously.
I want to come back to it because before we mentioned a few weeks ago before I even started rewatching it on the podcast. I had a few issues with Stranger Things, especially the last season 3, which I've kind of changed, and I actually like it a lot more now. I've loved the TV series. Like for me, I want to say it's probably my favorite in the last 10 years of any TV show. Apart from, I'm counting like when it started because Breaking Bad,
Breaking Bad.
I'm not moving. Breaking Bad started in 2008, so I mean, like a TV show that started in the last 10 years, it's definitely my favorite. A lot of reasons.
I think.
Characters are great, and it's a love letter to nostalgia. And even though I wasn't around, it's a great love letter.
Yeah, I mean, you got to agree with that. It is a huge love letter to the 80s and everything that could possibly represent the 80s, and it is an absolutely incredible piece of television. I would definitely say it's one of my favorite TV shows from the last decade. Obviously starting in 2016, it was one of the biggest Netflix original shows upon its release.
It's one of those things
And
where I look back now, and if you look before that, Netflix had a few big things. So you had like Narcos coming out, which did reasonably well.
yeah,
Better Call Saul, a prequel to Breaking Bad. But as like an original piece of television, it's probably you can probably pinpoint Stranger Things to the biggest, the one that started a
yeah.
lot of the greats of this come from Netflix.
One of the things that I love about Stranger Things, and especially the writing of Stranger Things, it's so simple yet it's so intricate, and you can tell the work that's been put into everything surrounding the show.
Yeah, the set design especially.
I love the set design is really, really amazing. And I've recently watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well, and similar to that,
yeah,
you know, the set design,
yeah.
the set design of the time and the love letter back to, you know, the 80s, 60s, you know, everything is just absolutely it. You know, it's perfect. You know,
Yeah,
and the way they've managed to, you know, build up the world, and you know they developed it for 3 seasons.
yeah.
You know, it is extremely well done.
I want to start with season 1 because season 1 is
yeah.
I think it's like I do actually if it ended just after season 1 it would be great. I'm glad I'm glad they've continued because I do love the other seasons, but we'll get into them. But season 1 is such a straightforward. It's just a boy who goes missing in a weird like in like a weird. He's got the sci-fi element to it, and it's so simple and does like it obviously takes influence from a lot of this stuff. One of the main criticisms I did see of the first season was that it relies heavy on too much of influences from the 80s and there's a reference to Stephen King's Firelight novel.
Yeah.
I will disagree with these. Cause I was never distracted by the references too much.
When I remember watching Ready Player One, and that was a film that I thought was relied on too heavily by pop culture references from the 80s, because that was literally one of the main plot points of Ready Player One. You know that, and I think Stranger Things, I think it definitely did in parts in terms of building up the characters' personalities.
You've got the whole Millennium Falcon thing in season 1 where Al lifts it, and for me, like, and I think was part of it though, like that added to it. They didn't distract me too much.
It didn't distract too much, but I think in parts you look at those things and you're like, oh, that's a cool little touch.
It added to the time period for me. Like, there's a difference between relying too much and then adding to
adding to the time period. Yeah, but I'm torn between which of the first 2 seasons is my favorite. I think I do really enjoy season 3 after rewatching. I think I definitely enjoy it more this time round. I mean, I remember when I first watched it, I was incredibly excited and I watched it all in one sitting. So that may have, you know, because I was sat there for a while, so that may have, you know, messed with my thoughts a little bit, you know. Maybe I was getting a bit groggy towards the end.
Season
but this
1,
time
though,
I watched it in...
carry on.
This time I watched it in, like, 2 sittings, 3 sittings. And I think I definitely appreciated season 3 more. I think with all of the seasons, there's things that, you know, you'd go and you'd change. But I really do enjoy season 3. I'm just not quite sure I enjoy it more than season 1 and 2.
With season 1, I will highlight, because there's a few standouts in every season for me that do get, like, for me, season 1, Millie Bobby Brown really shows her talent as like a young actor the most, I think, over the all 3 seasons. She really plays the part like so well. Obviously she develops as a character in the coming seasons, but that girl who's scared but got a lot of power. And I love how it was written where she slowly learns more about her power over the season, and you can kind of see that.
Yeah, that is one thing that I would highlight throughout show is definitely the development of 11.
Yeah.
Because when you see her in season 1, even in terms of her language, she's very restricted, and a lot of her acting relies on body language and emotional tells and stuff. And I think that's so brilliantly done that her character doesn't rely heavily on speech, and it's a thing. It's a way of writing a character that a lot of people would probably ignore.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant. And obviously the way that develops into season 2 after she is sort of adopted by Hopper, and then in season 3 when obviously she is now classed as Hopper's daughter, and the way she interacts with the other cast members, especially Max in season 3. The way they interact towards the beginning, I think, is it's brilliant, and it's really well done, and it does show how far the character of 11 has come since the beginning of the season.
With season 1 as well, I also want to pick out Winona Ryder as Will Byers' mom. I think that she's the best. The way she portrays that craziness, and I love how the situation goes, because you can see this a slight belief in all the when she's getting the lights and that, you can see like her son Jonathan, played by Charlie Heaton, thinks she's going insane, but you can also see that just a slight bit of belief there, and I do really like that. Season 1 as well, a lot of the best scenes I think for me are in the household with Will Byers' mom, with the Winona Ryder and the lights and the Demogorgon coming through the wall, and those images are great for me, and it's really, really well done. It's some good horror.
Yeah, it really is. And another thing about Winona Ryder's performance as Joyce is that even though you're watching the show and you know exactly what's going on, you're given full disclosure. It's incredible that even you as an audience member can still feel like maybe she is going crazy, because you're able to take from other characters' reactions, and the way she plays the character is just so incredible. She is very good in this in the show.
I also want to bring up last of the things I really liked about season 1 is Matthew Modine as Papa to 11.
David Harbour. David Harbour. Matthew Modine was
I said Papa, like Papa. Yeah.
Oh, Papa. Oh, I thought you said Hopper. Yeah.
There
we go.
he's great as he's so evil, and I love the way I love all the scenes in the lab as well in that season, especially with 11. You start to discover what's going on there, and you can see a little bit more each episode.
Yeah. Matthew Modine as Branagh is really, really good. He really makes you despise the character, because he's despicable. He does tests on children, and he kidnaps them from their parents.
He is the evil. He is that evil agent everyone thinks of when you think, government conspiracy.
Yeah.
And he is that evil guy.
He is that guy that when people think, that the government are hiding stuff from us and running tests on people, he is the guy that you would think of.
Season 1 as well, which we'll get to in a sec, but it doesn't have a filler episode unlike the following season.
That episode in season 2.
Because I've got a lot of hatred for that episode.
I'm really not a fan of. I really don't like it. But season 1 does a good job of not. It doesn't leave you time to put in a filler episode. It's even when it feels like it's maybe dragging a tiny bit. The pace doesn't really slow down as such.
No.
Which I really like.
I think some of the best moments for the kids this season, especially I find with a lot of obviously child actors, getting them to perform, but one bad child actor can completely remove me from a show or a film.
Yeah.
And I think the kids are great in this season. They're just fun to hang. You feel like you're hanging around with them. It's a great hangout.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of, obviously, Days
Um,
Confused, a little bit older, obviously, but
Dazed and
you could chill,
Confused.
you could
Yeah.
just, you could, like, the kids interacting
You
are
can
great.
sort of see it.
The kids and the way they interact, especially, I mean, you've got, later on in the season, towards the end, you've got when they interact with, David Harbour as, Hopper, and, you've
Yeah.
got Jonathan,
Yeah.
Jonathan and Nancy. Their relationship developing in the first season, I think, is great. And I love, however,
Yeah.
the characters is so well written in this show, and especially in the first season, the whole narrative, the way it plays out every single
Yeah.
episode, it's perfect. It doesn't go on too long for me. It's
One.
I just love the
Yeah.
first season,
Yeah. It's 8 episodes. I think every season's 8
apart
episodes,
from
right?
the
I
second
think.
one, which is 9 because of it
Oh
is
yeah,
8 episodes.
because of that. Yeah. But yeah, I love the development of the characters in the show. I love how you can love a character 1 minute and hate them the next, and vice versa. Especially with Steve in the
Yeah,
first season, because again, when I was rewatching this first season, Steve is a completely different character in season 1. The way he acts around Nancy
yeah,
towards the beginning, the way he treats Nancy towards the
yeah,
end. You know, it's how you can go from hating a character to then that character having a change of heart, especially when he starts interacting with
yeah,
Justin, not just Justin,
yeah.
Dustin, Jesus. And yeah, I think it's really incredible the way that a character can
All the
change,
characters, especially in the first season, like
sort of just like
rewatching it,
that.
they all develop so well. Like even as like Hopper is David Harbour, and as his relationship grows with
Yeah,
Joyce, Winona Ryder, and it's so every character in that first season is so well done, and the show the way it slowly unfolds is perfect for me. The first season of Stranger Things,
yeah. I
it's
mean,
closest perfect you can get for me.
when yeah, yeah, it really is. I mean, going back to Hopper, when we're first introduced to Hopper, he really doesn't he doesn't care about anything. He's obviously you learn that he's lost his daughter, and that definitely I feel contributes to the way he acts towards the beginning of that first season. Um, but he doesn't really care about
Yeah,
doing his job to the best of his ability. You know, he's just sort of he is just
yeah,
existing, and he shows up and he sort of does what he has to do. And when he starts interacting with Joyce, that sort of changes, especially in season
yeah.
2 when he takes in 11. It sort of changes. It gives him a reason to not just get up and exist, but get up and exist to the best of
Yeah.
his ability.
Moving on to season 2, one of the things I really like the introduction of is Sadie Sink and Zachary Montgomery as Max and Billy. Um, for me,
Yeah,
Max's introduction
yeah,
to the group is it's great because you can start to see as a group they start growing older. You've got obviously in the previous season you had that little like with uh, Finn Wolfhard, Mike and 11, you have that like relationship going on there. But with the introduction of Max into the
yeah,
group,
yeah.
you've got like um, Dustin and Lucas. Um,
What I do like as well is obviously when Mike starts to like 11 in the first season. Dustin and Lucas are the first to knock
yeah,
him for it. For
yeah,
liking a girl, and then it's them two that ultimately end up
yeah.
fighting over Max in season 2. Which is one thing that I do
It's
find
a great
quite
way to
funny.
go. I mean, the introduction of like a new character it's hard to do, and for me, I think they did it just right, especially with both of them. I mean, I don't think Billy gets the best. I don't think they get the best out of Billy until the third season, which we'll move on to in a sec. But Max in season 2 is great.
Um, Yeah, I think Billy is I think he's I honestly what one character that is overlooked
Yeah,
as well, as an introduction in season 2 is I really like
his scenes with Max.
Bob Newby.
Yeah,
No, I really like Bob Newby. I really like
you
Sean
see,
Astin as Bob.
it's another thing like that
And
as well. It's where you can sort of. I was kind of worried because I remember seeing it, and obviously like, I knew him at the time from obviously his past in the Goonies and other 80s films. and
Yeah.
it's another time where Bobby's so good of a character that I never noticed Sean Astin as him, and I think that's
Yeah.
great as well.
It's like, I mean, especially towards the end of season 2, in the last episode that he's in, because I don't think he's in the last one. But it's when he decides to step up, and he's gonna do what he can to save them. I really see Samwise Gamgee in there, from Lord of the Rings, especially Sam in Return of the King. Where he sort of steps up when he goes to rescue Frodo. I also like the introducing of Brett Gowman as Murray Bauman.
I mean, I think that's obviously Jonathan Nancy's like at the peak in a relationship, and he plays the conspiracy nut journalist so well.
He does.
Perfect.
He would be that guy that he's got a YouTube channel and he's always posting these nutty things. He kind of reminds me of the guy in Independence Day that says he got probed and stuff.
I love his house as well. Like, the whole design of that is great.
Yeah, I really do think season 2 is probably my favorite. Thinking about it more, I think there are some moments in season 2 that are just so fun. I like the Dustin and Steve relationship and how that develops in season 2.
It's hard to do that because that's a risky thing to do. I mean, imagine especially after season 1 and being in the writer's room, Steve and Dustin are going to develop a relationship. That's quite a hard thing to do, and they did it so well.
Everybody was probably sat around that table going, "What now?"
And it's so the writing of the show is just great for me.
I like the way that they're thrown together as well, because obviously when Dustin and Steve when Dustin calls upon Steve for help, obviously Nancy is with Jonathan visiting Murray, which I think is really cool, and they are sort of thrown together. It's Dustin's need for help, and obviously he's just like, you still got the bat with the nails in it.
It makes sense. Like
it does. Yeah, it does. And Steve is he's one of those guys. He's sort of just like, yeah, all right, I'll come with you. And I like the stuff with Dart as well.
That's funny.
Dustin and Dart, I think it. I think it's really funny, especially when
darkly funny as well. Like it's darkly funny. Like it's
where he's looking for Dart and he finds the cat. When Dart has killed his cat, and it's just like really, really cool dark humor, and I do really like that. Really well done.
Matt Arazo is like so good, like for comedic timing in the show as well. Like he plays just like, especially in season 2 when he's trying to get everyone to call them demo dogs. Like it's just, it really fits so well.
Yeah, I think it is sort of his personality as well. You see it with Dustin that he's the more mature one of the group. And if you ever watch like interviews with Gaten Matarazzo, he is very, he's very mature. He's very intelligent.
I want to bring up Noah Schnapp in this season because for me, like he's got his like one of my favorite moments is when they're in the lab, and it's just before Bob steps up, and that whole when he's a spy and the mind flayer, that whole scene where Mike goes to tell them that it's a trap. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a trap scene, and the way that's acted is so well, and the way he just changes.
Yeah,
for me, for me that's Emmy level stuff for me.
Yeah, if you've watched obviously Stranger Things, you'll know in the first season, Noah Schnapp is nerfed pretty much. He's pretty much non-existent, and even though he's one of these main characters, he's not really there.
He is just sat there singing "Should I Stay, Should I Go" by the Clash for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how he's this central character through the plot, but nothing else. And I kind of like that. I think that's kind of cool the way he is. He is the most important character.
Yeah,
He is what they're trying to find.
he's a plot
He's
device.
literally talked about. He's a huge plot device, and he's all that's talked about throughout this first season. But he's not there, and I do really like how it was done. I think he definitely gets a lot better
Yeah, I
though.
mean, I think for me that whole hospital scene is the the
Yeah,
it's the peak. It's for me that's probably the best acting in season two. Um, I love that
yeah,
sequence
yeah.
so much.
He is really good in that sequence. I think he's good throughout season two though, especially with I like the scene where they're in hot where are they? Where they're where they're
Oh,
like heating them up.
it's in Hopper's
Joyce,
cabin, isn't it?
Jonathan.
Yeah, yeah,
It's in Hopper's cabin, and
yeah.
they're sort of heating him up. I think he's really
It's very
good in that
Exorcist.
scene
It
too.
feels like The Exorcist at times, and he does it. He does it well.
It
He does
does
it well.
it does feel like The Exorcist, and
But
he does do that
bringing
really
back to the
well.
criticism again on the first season, I'm going to bring back Bob and Sean Astin into this. It wasn't for me like you could tell there was trying to a play of nostalgia. Bringing Sean Astin in is quite everyone sort of did kind of get the gag at that. But again, I don't think
Yeah,
it never relied on that. Like he's great. Bob's a great character on his own. Like he stands on his own 2 feet there.
yeah.
And I
I mean,
carry on.
he's he's one of those characters that when I do watch the show, it's kind of like I'm torn 50-50 between whether I'm happy that he was only kind of a guest star and he doesn't turn into a main cast
Yeah.
member and he doesn't continue through the show, or whether I'm a bit disappointed that they killed him off and you don't see
I
more.
do think that's perfect. His whole the way his character comes to an end. It's for me, it worked, and I think he may have he had no reason to be there. He doesn't ever really like. I don't see how we can any way benefit the plot any further from that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons that he was there, and it was to sort of
Yeah,
intimidate Hopper in a way, because obviously there's times where Hopper calls him
yeah.
Bob the Brain, and Joyce is like, hey, don't call him that, and it's because Hopper is starting to develop these
He's
feelings
there
for
to develop
Joyce.
an extra layer to Hopper's and Joyce's relationship, and
Yeah, and he's there to sort of
yeah.
challenge Hopper in a way.
Going back to the writing of the show, it's the way they write the characters and the way that they change over each season, the development of them and the fleshing out of them. I don't think there's many shows that have ever done it better than Stranger Things.
I mean, there's not many shows that
No.
do it at all. I mean, and especially not to this extent. I think the way Stranger Things is able to develop these characters, and I think it's important again that there are time jumps because they develop
Yeah.
and they get older. This is shown a hell of a lot more
Yeah.
in the third season,
Well,
I think.
with season
And
three, ending on season two, like transcending into season three, Billy, played by Dacre Montgomery, is for me in season two. He has his moments when he picks up Max in the car. You can see like the level of anger and you can see
yeah,
that level of anger inside of him. And I love at the end of the season you start to see
yeah,
more about the issues he has with his dad and his old issues at home. And I think that's what
yeah,
Stranger Things does
yeah,
so well is you see Steve develop as a character. Obviously, when he's no longer friends with he's like when he falls out with friends at school.
yeah,
I love
with
how it's slowly
his
it's
old
like a
friends and
fine wine.
stuff.
You slowly see it slowly starts to age as a character, and you can see that. You can see why certain
Yeah,
characters act the way they do, and I don't think enough shows or even enough films do that.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's great about season 3 is that you never expect Billy, I think, especially at the end of season 2, to become what he
Yeah,
does in season 3. You
no,
never expect that turn for the character, because obviously
he's
at
a
the end
side
of season
character.
2,
Season two.
yeah, and not only that, he's sort of agreed to back
Yeah,
off from Max at the end of season 2 after she
yeah,
threatens him with the bat with the nails in, and he sort of agreed to back off, and he's not
yeah,
the big bad anymore, because in season 2 he
yeah,
was sort of the threat to the group, especially when he's going around and he's looking for Max.
yeah,
Um, but then after he backs off, you don't expect to maybe see as much
yeah.
much of him. And then obviously with the turn that he takes in season 3, it's like I don't think you could have called it,
He
to be honest, if
yeah,
you were gonna
when he becomes one of the Flay, which is
guess.
it's
When he
one of
becomes one of the
it's
flayed.
when you watch the show, he's basically the monster, quote unquote, in the third season, and for me,
Yeah.
that's that's where he best comes out in the third season.
Yeah. I mean, I first saw Dacre Montgomery
Oh
in Power
yeah,
Rangers.
yeah,
He was in the Power Rangers reboot, and that film really didn't
yeah.
have much going
I
for it.
mean,
And then he cropped up in Stranger Things, and I was like, do I know him from
yeah,
somewhere? And then I was like, oh, he was in that
yeah,
Power Rangers film. And I was like, oh, but he's so good in
yeah,
Stranger Things. And he wasn't in the Power Rangers film. And he is. He's so good in Stranger Things, especially in season 2 when we're first being introduced.
he's got that level of
when he's got
yeah.
that level of
You can
anger,
see
and
there's
he's
something
almost a
troubling in
psychopath.
there that makes him who he is, and I love the way it doesn't tell you like,
Yeah,
but it waits and waits.
yeah, and obviously that development is still going
Yeah,
into season 3. And again, this what this show does well is it doesn't reveal everything at once. It
yeah,
it
yeah.
develops it over time. And it keeps you
Exposition is great
watching,
in the show,
and it's done fantastically. Yeah, it really is.
but I think especially with like season 3, which I really like. We mentioned it earlier. I've got it underlined here. Max and Elle's relationship in this. I think it's great because you get to see Eleven grow even more as a character. She's now developing from this kid to this teenager that's quite naive, and she slowly comes out of a shell in season 3. And I think Max was a perfect person to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Obviously, Max is as season 2 goes on, and entering into the beginning of season 3, Max is very
Yeah,
outgoing among the
she's
group,
quite she's like
and
a quite a powerful character over the group. You can tell she has a say in the group, and I think it's great because she helps develop 11 to come out of the shell.
yeah, she is. And it's sort of, especially at the beginning of season 3, it's sort of like Al sort of fading
Yeah,
into normality now. And when she goes out to
that's
the
true. Yeah,
shopping mall
that's some of
with
the more comedic moments of the
with
season.
Max. Yeah, and it shows her fading into normality, like she's finally being accepted in society now for who she is, the power she has. Even though people don't
Yeah,
know, it's like she's sort of
yeah,
blended in now.
and another thing which I really like in this season is I think I'd say at times it is the funniest season. Um, Comedically, it's sometimes like you got when obviously Lucas and Mike, obviously with the girl problems, and it, obviously when they go around
Yeah.
the suit. I love it when
Well,
they go around the mall. To be fair, it's hilarious watching them just fumble around all the shops with
yeah.
like $2.
I think one of the funniest parts of the season, the arc that I really enjoy is Murray,
Yeah,
Alexei,
yeah,
Hopper, and
that's great.
Joyce. So some of the interactions between Alexei, Hopper, and Murray, who's translating for Alexei, is brilliant. It does crack me up every time. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And again, it's the introduction of the character of Alexei, who is probably not gonna become a huge recurring character.
Towards the end of the season.
But
spoiler.
But he's there. To provide that comic relief.
I think it's great seeing those four
as well as
arcs, because a lot of it's all in the previous seasons. The adults, especially like Hopper and Joyce, have all been arcs around the children, like group, and it's great seeing them four have their own thing. And I think Murray's great. He's, as you mentioned before, he plays this like eccentric guy so well. And Alexis. Alexis is this funny Russian guy.
But yeah, another thing that this show does incredibly as well is the way it balances so many arcs at the same time.
It does that really well.
And
I think
it does,
season 3 is the best at doing that, because you've got multiple ones. So you've got obviously Mike and the girls.
Yeah, there are so many
Steve,
with
the introduction of Mihawk, and that
as Robin.
Which again, there's a funny time where they're on like they're like really like high on and tripping on some drug.
They're on like high on. They're tripping on Russian truth serum.
There's some funny moments there, and seeing their relationship develop was great. Dustin and Erica though as well, like they were great. Introduction. Erica's great.
See, on 50-50 on Erica. At times I think there's two ways I look at the character of Erica. There's the side where I think, okay, she's playing this spoiled brat, and she's playing it very well. And then there's the other side where I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit annoying.
She plays. This is the only issue I have with Erica is towards the end of the season, especially when obviously they come out of the base. There's no real reason for her to be there, in some ways, and which I get. But another thing is, I think the best part about it is when she's with Dustin and she's just calling him a nerd. I also like the part where they're going Hopper
and she's
and they're crawling through the vents, and they escape from Steve and Mihawk.
Yeah. See, season 3 is again. It's a season that it definitely grew on me a little bit. Where at first I was like, okay, it's kind of disappointing. If you look at the first two, and again, maybe it was just because I was tired from watching the entire thing in one sitting. But now I'm like, I really do appreciate this, and it's like it's well written. Everything is well balanced.
It feels to me like
it's probably the funniest season.
There's like one. It's like season 1. If it had more arcs, it's got that same feel for me. It's more like a direct. It's more like a direct.
Yeah.
For me, season 2 is there's a lot going on in season 2, and although it all fits into this, weaves into like one main story. I love in season 3 like all the arcs, and all the like the stories seem to meet really well, which scares me as a writer.
One thing that is great about season 3 is it shows the huge scale.
Yeah.
It really it is like season 1 on steroids.
Increased budget, but I think it's used well as well. I mean, the mall looks great. I think it really season 1 obviously it references the 80s a lot, but it really finds its setting in season 3.
Yeah, it really does. And again, I'm really excited to see what happens in season 4. Obviously,
with Hopper, I'm going to bring one thing. That the letter scene at the end of the season, tear-inducing, man.
Oh, that gets me every time. it gets me every time. I remember the See, I'm the kind of guy that I don't tend to cry a lot in terms of film and TV. I think one thing that did get me was Logan. I cried at the end of Logan. I'm not ashamed to say it.
But yeah, end of season 3, man. End of season 3.
I think
Titanic. You cried at Titanic.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw Titanic when I was like younger, I cried at the end of Titanic. And it's like, but yeah, that really did that got me. That did the end of season 3.
But obviously with season 4 coming with the I mean, I want to I was looking and they have started production, but obviously it's been paused at the moment with everything that's going on.
Yeah, which means obviously the release date I think was originally October 2020. That's probably going to be pushed back until at least January, I'd say.
So, but it's one of those things where I'm really looking forward to what they do more, because I don't know. There's talk about them not being in Hawkins, but I don't think they can completely abandon it, because Hawkins have developed so well over the last 3 seasons. It'd be a shame to ruin that.
I was kind of thinking about where they could go with it, and obviously it's been confirmed through the trailer. Hopper's alive. They sort of hinted at it if you watch the after credit scene, where they say no, not the American. I've been kind of thinking what they could mean with the whole not in Hawkins anymore, and I came up with. Well, I say came up with. They were kind of self-explanatory.
Well, let's hear it.
Where I mean, the ways that I thought they could go with this is either obviously the Byers they've moved away. There was a lot of talk at the end of season 3 about everybody going there and then coming back to Hawkins. So maybe the gate. Maybe there's other gate entries, in wherever it is they moved. I can't remember where they said they were moving. And the more unlikely option is that everybody goes to Russia. And considering the show being set in the midst of the Cold War, I don't see happening.
Rocky 4 happened, but in fairness, so
Rocky 4 did happen, so you never know. You never know.
Just like walk past and stop in the same cabin as Rocky. You just see him running through
snow. But yeah. So I'm guessing it will probably take them to the Byers, wherever.
I do think maybe
wherever they may be.
I do think maybe the first few episodes won't be in Hawkins, but I think they will end up back in Hawkins. Personally,
I mean. What I would like as kind of a filler episode. We did mention the filler episode from season 2.
I'm going to give that a piece on its own.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, one thing that obviously I think everybody would like for season 4 is definitely a Hopper episode.
Like
explaining what happened at the end of.
I might do that. Yeah.
Season 3, and I think that I really want to see that, because obviously I'm intrigued. He should have been blown to smithereens, but obviously he wasn't. He is probably one of the best characters.
Fan service as well. Like there's a certain level of fan service.
So obviously, I want to see what happened there. Obviously, the whole story behind that. Really looking forward to.
I want to see how everyone's getting on. Like how the moves. Like I'd be interested to see how there's so much happened at the end of season 3. Like how's the move affecting everyone?
Yeah, exactly. And it's one thing that I really would enjoy is, and this all depends on how they plan on ending the season, what season they plan on ending the season, whether it's
might be one more
this
season
one,
after this one.
or the Duffer Brothers have said that it will either be season 4 or season 5 at the end. So in either at the end of season 4 or the end of season 5, I would like to I'd like to see them grown up. I'd like to see I'd like to see what happens to the characters, and I think
Because reunion 40
it's really important.
P2 Train Spy.
Yeah, like a sort of present day thing, you know. And I think one thing that pushes me to want this to happen is because of the journey that you've been on with these characters over the past 3 seasons, the way you've seen them grow. You know, it'd be a shame to not.
You see, I'm not
see
sure
them
about that. Like, I'm torn.
grown up.
I'd watch it obviously, but it's one of those things where I'm like, it's
yeah.
It's a love letter.
It's whether it'd be good.
Like, as soon as it all ends, I think I'll be happy. As long as I don't mess up the ending, like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But again, we don't even know what.
Yeah.
Like, if there's another season after this, like, we don't know how it could end. So.
I mean, I at the moment I have like pretty much no idea as to where they could go now, because obviously the Mind Flayer has been destroyed, but obviously now we know that the Russians have got Demogorgons.
There's so many potential. As a writer now, like I'm thinking, I'm like, there's so many potential routes they can go that I'm intrigued.
There's it's impossible to know where they're actually, gonna go with the show, and I think that again, it's just very, very well done, because you do just have no idea what's going to happen next.
I'm going to bring it on to a certain episode in season 2 that we didn't talk about, but for me, it's easily the worst episode of the show. It's kind of insulting. I kind of hope which it just didn't. I got what they're trying to do, but it didn't work. I want to say it's episode season 2 episode. So
5 or 6, I think.
I'm having a look now. I had this written down. I can't find it. So, chapter 7, The Lost Sister. They find out there's a lot more girls that's been tested on this lab, and they have some powers. And then Elle goes and finds another girl who was at this lab. Completely, it's not at all linked to the plot at all. Apart from Elle's looks different. That's it.
I think it kind of serves as a little bit of development, because it's when Elle decides that she really does want to be Hopper's daughter.
Yeah,
I think that's the only important thing from that.
The things that I really like about it, I like how it. I really like the idea of it, and it's cool, like expanding the world and expanding the character of Elle. But for me, it felt way too much like they were trying to start a spin-off series, and that's my main issue with it all. And
I think
none of the characters they introduced, even Elle's somewhat sister, wasn't interesting to me, and that was the only time where I think that's the only real misstep they've made.
I think that's where I think that's the only instance where the Duffer Brothers have tried to do too much too soon, where it was like they've tried to expand it, and it's like, okay, well, these people are everywhere, they're in a completely different city, and they're using their powers to commit crimes. Well,
it feels a bit too misfit to me.
And I think,
and the thing that I'd like to know more about isn't that. It's more about how the lab started, and the way the lab, and how they even opened the gate to the Upside Down. For me, the whole lab stuff. And
how they discovered, that children had powers. That's
especially
the stuff
Papa,
that I think.
Michael Modine, I want to know more about that character and that side of the Stranger Things universe.
I think that's that is something that will hopefully be explored deeper in season 4, season 5 if it gets there, or maybe in like a book or as like a spin-off miniseries, something like that.
The success of it, whether it's a good thing or not, we'll find out. But I think because of the success of the show, and it being Netflix's first real milestone, I do think it will get a spin-off series or something like that.
Yeah, I think there'll definitely be a spin-off series somewhere down the line, whether it's great or it's awful. But either way, I think that's a good maybe 5 years down the line from even being teased or
But I think overall, Stranger Things, if you haven't, a lot of people have watched it already. We've tried to stay a little bit away from spoilers. We've spoiled a few things, but it's such a good show in its own stead. The characters are brilliant. The world building is it's perfect. Whether Bill Hawkins over the 3 series as well, it's great. Everyone should watch it.
Yeah, it is almost cinematic in its design. It is almost like even the episodes, they aren't really shot like shows. I don't think they are almost shot like films.
It is beautifully shot. Everything that's in the Upside Down as well is so. I mean, it depends on age with the CG stuff, but I do really like the way it's shot.
Yeah. Yeah, visually, I think the show is fairly good and fairly consistent.
The score as well is great. Without mentioning that,
I think the score is brilliant. I could probably sit there and just listen to the score while I was working or something. It's one of those scores that I'd go back and re-listen to. I don't know if the scores are on vinyl, but it's definitely something that I would buy on vinyl.
I'll probably get them at some point soon.
That's something I want to own on vinyl. But I think visually, going back to the visuals, I think in season 1 they try to stay away from too much. I love the whole
firelight and the light bulbs. It's even sound on the light bulbs and the Upside Down is great.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Because obviously we don't even see the Demogorgon.
Well, it's practical, wasn't it, in season 1?
Until the last. Yeah, it was practical, and the stuff with the walls, I think, looks a bit. It doesn't look awful, but it's not like brilliant either. Obviously, it just started. The budget wasn't
like it's such a well-written show, especially in the first. It's so tightly written and it's very linear that it works.
It is.
And I think it's almost perfect as a season for TV.
Yeah.
If anyone's into TV writing or writing in general, I think Stranger Things is such a
it's definitely one to watch.
It's a fun TV show to watch as well, and it's great to see how every episode has a purpose apart from season 2, which I just mentioned. But the first season, especially for me, is great
that filler episode
to watch, especially if you're younger.
Yeah, it is. It is really a fantastic show. It is really incredible.
We're going to finish with our last section, which is what we've been watching this week.
It's actually a consistent. It's a consistent section. It's been in every episode.
It's not in a new section,
I think. I think it's an important section.
Yeah, I mean it's great. We can always talk about some more stuff to watch.
It gives you guys an insight into the sort of stuff that we watch.
What have you been watching this week?
I've actually been quite busy this week. I've watched more this week than I have in any of the previous episodes and stuff. I've watched 1, 2, 3, 4. I've watched 5 things this week. So the first thing I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
We'll be discussing this in the next podcast, so we won't go too in depth here. But
in length, the next podcast. So next episode is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Spoilers.
But I'm just going to keep it short. No spoilers. It is absolutely incredible. I'd heard a lot of mixed things going into this film, but honestly, this film is absolutely brilliant. I think
so
it's
do
one of
I. I
Tarantino's
agree.
best. It's definitely up there. I think it's great. The time period of the 60s in Hollywood. I think
great.
it's so interesting. The production design is absolutely fantastic. It really put a smile on my face watching this film. And when watching it as well, I couldn't notice anything that was out of place.
It felt really mature.
It was immaculate. The acting,
felt really mature.
Yeah, it is. And the chemistry between the actors is fantastic, especially Leo and Brad Pitt as Dalton and Booth. Their chemistry is brilliant. One scene that I really enjoyed was the Bruce Lee scene.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that more next week.
We'll go spoiler in the next one. We'll go in spoilers. So watch it before you listen to the next
episode. In short, loved it. One that I did watch that was contender with my hidden gem for this week. I watched Stranger Than Fiction. It stars Will Ferrell and Emma Thompson. I watched it the other day, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting concept. It basically follows this guy, Harold Crick, who's played by Will Ferrell, and he begins to hear the voice of a narrator, and which is Emma Thompson, and she's documenting every single thing that he does, and basically she discovers that she's an author, she's writing a book, and she plans to kill him off. So basically he does everything that he can to stop that happening, including falling in love with Maggie Gyllenhaal, and I thought it was a really, really interesting concept.
One of my favourite Bond films, but he's done quite a few. Like he did one. I want to say, what did he do with World War C? Yeah, he did what? Yeah, and he did stuff, and I probably will check that out. It's on my list anyway. So, anything else? What else have you been watching?
Yeah, it's on that's on Netflix. Last night you may have seen this if you follow the Real Talk Instagram page. I rewatched The Royal Tenenbaums. Obviously Wes Anderson movie. Good cast. Gene Hackman, Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson. Obviously, a lot of people have probably already seen this film if they're interested in film. But it's well written, it's beautifully shot, beautifully directed. I think it's really good. I rewatched The Trader and Stranger Things, which we've gone into depth about both on this episode. What about you, Jake?
The first thing I watched was Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey. I saw a bit of it like a while ago, but I never sat through it all. And I did sit through it. Obviously Matthew McConaughey is great in it. He plays this guy. I mean, you can see why this guy is just. He's got like a lifestyle, like a more than it's a lifestyle of access, and obviously he catches HIV. So it's based on a true story about Ron Woodruff, and Jared Leto plays a cross-dresser during this film, and I think he plays him really well. Matthew McConaughey drops so much weight for this. It's like time just here with his shirt off, and it's like
it's ridiculous.
He drops so much weight. He's great. He definitely. I think he deserved his Oscar for that, and Jared Leto was great.
Definitely.
I really did like Jennifer Garner as well as the Doctor in this. And if you haven't watched it, obviously you got Oscar buzz. I think a lot of people may have seen it by now, but it's great.
It's definitely worth a watch.
It's also directed by the same guy who did this one Wild that came out a few years ago. But the other things I've been watching, so I've got BFI Player, and at the moment it's Japanese cinema season. Whoever has a subscription as well. So I started this week with Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa. I don't know what else I can say about the film that hasn't already been said. It's just a masterpiece. It's a long epic. It's about 3.5 hours long, but doesn't feel long. Like I was watching it, and then after it finished, I was like, damn, it's like 3 hours have gone. But It's beautifully shot. The framing is obviously Kurosawa is so well known for his framing. It holds up now as an action film, which just surprised me. And some great performances in there. Kikucho, the guy who plays him, is brilliant.
I actually haven't seen Seven Samurai yet, but obviously I've heard nothing but brilliant things. But I did subscribe to BFI Player.
I messaged you about it, didn't I?
Last night, and then you messaged me about it, and there are some absolutely amazing films on there. That are hard to find in other places as well, especially in terms of streaming. So I'm definitely going to be busy watching those. Not just that as well, but they've got some incredible films to
they have as well.
to rent. And the prices aren't too steep for rentals either. Well. Which is quite good. You get a discount for the subscription as well, so it makes it.
If you want to sponsor us at BFI, please do.
You know what? It would be brilliant if we were sponsored by BFI.
Would recommend. Another film I watched on there this week was Eyes Without Face, a horror film that came in the 90s, a French horror film that came in the 1960s. It was very progressive for its time. It showed a lot of gore. It was very shocking at times. It was directed by Georges Franju, and it stars Edith Scott as a girl who's suffered in a car accident, and her face has been disfigured, and she has to wear a mask. And the surgeon, her dad, tries to cut off girls' faces and then try and put them on his own daughter surgically. It's the surgery scene is very iconic in the film, and it is creepy at times. I don't think it wasn't my favourite film, to be fair. I'll be honest. I think it's important to watch, especially if you're a cinephile and want to see, horror developing as a genre itself. But I will say, I do think Alfred Hitchcock's Cycle is a little bit more significant and holds up a little bit better than this.
I'll definitely have to give it a watch.
I don't know if it was just I need to rewatch it again, or I think I went into a little bit too much hype. But it is shot incredibly well. Some of the best scenes are in this surgery room in the surgeon's house, and there's a scene just before the surgery where she takes off a mask, and it's so beautifully done, and it's creepy as well. You can see how it influenced a lot of other films. And moving on to the last film that I saw this week, which I watched last night, it's called A Band Apart, also known as A Band of Outsiders in the UK release. It's a Jean-Luc Godard film, and it's a bit of a parody over 1930s American pulp and crime films. They've got so many iconic scenes in there. So there's a dance sequence that happens halfway through that's just great, and it's so well shot, and it's just funny. There's also you've got the loo sequence where they try and break the record by running through the loo. It's so weird, and it's so just weird. There's so many weird scenes in the film, and it's so funny at times. I'd say it's Jean-Luc Godard's most accessible film to a general audience as well. It's the best way to describe it is it's a weird crime thriller that's also a parody, quite funny at times, and that's the best way to describe it. It's also got one of my favorite actors of all time in there, Claude Brasseur, who plays Arthur in the film. He's also in Eyes Without Face, funny. He's an inspector in there. He's only a short role, but he's great in a lot of stuff he's done, and I would recommend this film.
That's
it's also funny enough,
it
inspired Quentin Tarantino's film company, A Band Apart. He just put the name together. So
that's cool.
But yeah, it's a Godard film, so it's beautifully shot. It's beautifully written as well. Jean-Luc Godard. If anyone wants to get into French cinema, I'd start with him. And that's definitely really it this week from me.
I think we've covered a lot of stuff this week.
Back and we're getting there slowly, and we're improving. So
Yeah, we've been able to cover a lot of ground this week. Especially with our talk about
Yeah.
the state of cinema at the
Um,
moment with our news section, and
yeah.
obviously our main
But
topic with
in the next few
Stranger
days, we
Things.
have a Once Upon in Hollywood spoiler podcast coming Saturday. Great view. And
Yeah,
we've got
Saturday.
next coming weeks for episode 10, we're going to bring back George and Daniel for the sequel episode.
And Daniel,
Yeah.
that is our most
Um,
watched episode. And that, but
yeah,
I'm,
so it'll
I'm
be good
really
fun.
excited for
Over
that.
the next few weeks, we'll announce on social
That'll be
media about
another
what we're doing.
long episode.
New episodes.
Yeah, we'll start getting
Yeah.
I feel like we're quite active on Instagram.
Yeah.
We'll start using the Twitter a little bit more at Real Talk Tweet.
And
if you
so
want to go follow
today's
that
episode. Hope to check out the films we recommended if you're feeling bored. And Stranger Things is great.
watch Stranger Things if you haven't.
If you need something to just binge watch and just
Stranger Things
cheer
great.
you up during these weird times, then there's nothing better.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
And,
hope you've had fun.